to which is the very first episode of Full Time with Gaz and Celly. It should have been the second, but last week we had some difficulties. I was extremely busy. So I had kids' parties and stuff to go to all day. So anyway, I'm joined today with my good friend Celly. How you doing, Celly?
Hey, not too bad. Can't complain after getting a point. Probably shouldn't deserved it, but we got one. Can't complain. Move on to the next game.
Well, it is it's a step up from last week. We scored and we got a point. So first off, let's start talking about the lineup. There were 5 changes. What did you make of that?
It was pretty surprising. I think Agbana coming in for Balbuena, especially with no news that Balbuena was hurt, was a shocker. And for him to have the captain armband was kind of a surprise to me.
Mm-hmm.
Masuaku wasn't as big as a surprise. I had a lot of high hopes going in for him. I think it was just a matter of time before he came in to replace Cresswell. I also was kind of surprised to see Snodgrass starting over Yarmolenko. And I was surprised to see Chicharito starting up front. And then I was scrolling through Twitter and somebody had mentioned that Ajeti has only been with the team for about a week. So we shouldn't just assume that he'd fit in right away. However, I think on the flip side of that, West Ham fans know what Chicharito provides and what he doesn't provide. So I think it was more so fans just wanting something new, especially in the system that we play. Unfortunately, he didn't come in. Not too much of a surprise, but it would have been nice to see what he could have done.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So we again went with a 4-2-3-1 formation. Balbuena, like you said, Balbuena not being picked. I don't think he's injured. I think it was just purely down to the performance last week. Is I think a reason as to why some of the players were picked today and some of the players weren't. Obviously, Haller and Anderson were injured, so they couldn't play today. I was surprised to see Hernandez personally, because I personally have always said that Hernandez, to play in our team, Hernandez needs a partner. And it was very evident today that when the ball was put up to him, he's not a big guy. He's not going to win those aerial balls. And I don't remember a time where West Ham won any headers in that first half. Masuaku, I've actually been asking for Masuaku to play. But based on today's performance, man, I wish Cresswell was there, to be honest, because his defending is terrible.
Yeah.
It is awful. And I'm not the biggest fan of Agbona anyway.
Yeah.
So I wasn't very pleased to see him in the starting lineup at all. Snodgrass was a big surprise for me and at half time, it was evident that Antonio was going to come on. Antonio brings you that power, that winning the ball type of finesse that he has. He's just so strong and so powerful. And we looked slow. We looked lost. We looked sluggish. Really, there was no fight. We weren't pressing the ball. We weren't closing Brighton down or anything like that. So I think tactically, starting off, I think Pellegrini got it wrong today. But at half time, as we were speaking at half time, we said that Antonio would probably come on. Do you think he made the right decision in bringing Antonio on? I believe it's for Wilshere. He brought him on for.
Yeah.
Would you have gone
Yeah, he came in
else?
for Wilshere. I was surprised just because I didn't expect him to take off a central defender, excuse me. But I think after center midfielder, thank you. I think after the first few minutes, it was kind of obvious that it was a good decision.
Mm-hmm.
He came on and he was given some pace. He was attacking balls. He was for everything, closing people down. Plus, and in the first half, you can't really think of a moment where Jack Wilshere was really even a part of the game. Honestly, I mean, our best player in the first half, outside of VAR, was Declan Rice. Fabianski he kept us in the game too, as he always does. Luckily, that first goal, is a bit less controversial of a VAR offsides this time because half his body was off.
Yeah, wasn't his armpit this time.
Yeah, it wasn't just the armpit. But Rice was the only one going forward. He was going back. He was attacking. He was doing everything that he could. But, I mean, he was really the only person on the pitch, maybe outside of Lanzini, that you could have said was actually giving an effort.
Yeah.
And then Antonio comes on. And to your point earlier, when you said Chicharito just in the system, he's not good by himself. I think Chicharito benefited a lot from Antonio's pace or presence more so, because the goal that he had, he wasn't being closed down by three defenders that time. He was able to split, the center
Breakaway,
back
yeah.
and the winger, and break away. I think his goal was a little lucky. He had enough pace on the ball to get through the slap of the goalie, if you will, and it snuck in. But take them as they come. And then the frustrating thing of Antonio, he had all that space to get a second and shot it to the top of the stadium as he always does. But
It's on the way to the moon right now, I think.
Yeah, yeah, the stratosphere, honestly. But yeah, he definitely changed the game, and I don't think anybody would doubt that.
No,
I think
I
probably
agree.
he should start next time too by himself.
I agree 100%. So another player that started today was Pablo Fornals. He had his full debut. How do you think he did?
I think he's going to take a few games. I still think he's getting used to the physicality of the Premier League. It's kind of been a tale of two seasons more so, preseason and regular season for him. We've all seen what his potential is in the preseason, his distribution, his ability to dribble with the ball, get it in the net. But I think so far, through two games, granted, Man City might not have been the best couple of minutes for him, but in this game, he was still getting bullied around. Didn't really contribute too much. Although I am excited to see what he can bring in once he gets used to it, because you could say the same thing for Antonio last year. He took a few games to get used to the physicality and pace, not just from the big teams, but the small teams probably even go after you more than the big ones do, honestly.
Yeah.
But once he figures it out, I think he'll be just fine. So I was happy for his start today, and I'm sure it won't be his last. But
Oh, no.
yeah, I think he just needs to figure it out. He'll be fine, but he didn't really contribute too much.
No, I think at the moment he's a bit lightweight, and like you said, he's just getting used to the physicality of the Premier League. I've always said, like, if you want to watch nice technical football, you'll go watch places like Spain, like La Liga. The Premier League for me is all pace and power.
Yeah.
And like you look at somebody like Manchester City last week, they have pace and power and class in all areas of the pitch. What Brighton had today was power. They had a couple of pacey players, but I believe their back four. I don't think any one of their back four, maybe one of either the right or the left back, was under 6 foot. Every single one of them defenders were 6+, and it showed today. Like our front four, we had Hernandez, Lanzini, Fornals, and Snodgrass, and although on the ground they're very intricate and they can play these nice little passes and stuff in the air, we were just going to get bullied every time. And you saw it with Fabianski as well. Fabianski really, really tried very hard not to take the goal kicks and boot them up the pitch, because we were just going to give the ball away every single time. So I feel like the formation was slightly wrong today, especially in the first half. But like we all watched, the system was changed at halftime. Antonio come on. I think that really gave us that kind of spark that we needed. So you touched on VAR earlier. Correct decision?
Yeah, I mean, half his body was offside, so by the rule of the book, he was off.
It was Barnes, wasn't it?
No, yeah, it was Barnes.
I believe it was Barnes. What is his name?
Barnes. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but one of their defenders.
Yeah,
that guy. He was in it all game too. Not just the offsides call, but he was highly involved. Setting up a goal, and I think he even had obviously he had the distribution, which is what caused him to be offsides. But yeah, it was a correct decision, I think.
Yeah. So another piece of VAR helped us out today.
Yeah.
The penalty, the VAR that possibly could have gone our way. What do you make about that?
Um, when they showed the replay from the angle behind Antonio, it looked as if he got clipped on the way, like on his second foot. So his left foot was coming down, and the defender was kind of going through it, and it looked from that angle that he got clipped and should have been a penalty. Um, but I don't know, maybe I don't know. I think in the run of play, it wasn't called, and I think probably rightfully so because it looked as if in full speed that he just tripped over himself.
Mm.
Obviously, VAR is there to kind of show what the referee can't see. So at first, I
Feels
wasn't
like
really calling.
intentional or not.
Right. Yeah. At first, I wasn't really calling for it just because Antonio kind of has a history of simulation. Um, but I don't know. I wasn't upset that we didn't get it called. Um, but I think that might be one case where uh, maybe VAR got it wrong. But I mean, we'll never know.
I mean, VAR is still pretty much it's pretty much new to the Premier League, so I think it's going to take some time to get every single decision like correct.
Right.
For me, I don't think it was a penalty. If we'd have been given that penalty and we'd have scored it, I'd have felt sorry for Brighton, even though I'd have been happy with the 3 points and wouldn't have cared really much. Like, I would have felt sorry for Brighton because for me, Brighton were the better team today, and I feel like we got away with it a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too. They just like you said from the start, first half, they're all over us. You know, like I said, they were winning all the headers. We didn't get our first free kick or our first shot on goal to the 43rd minute. You know, and that was a ball that just happened to fall to Declan, who he might have had wide eyes on that one. You know, I think if he realized he had a bit of space and time, he probably would have taken his time to shoot it. But yeah, I mean, second half too, we had our moments, but still they were pressing against us. They were better on the ball all around. You know, I think we were more a counter-attacking team. We had moments where, you know, we could have stolen it from them. But I think all in around, Brighton definitely will be upset to not have gotten all three today.
Yeah, they were definitely the better team. But at the same time, I feel like it's always a good thing if you don't play well and you can still pick up points.
Oh, yeah.
So just down here in the comments, Gabe said that this would have been a great game for Haller, or it would have been a better game for Haller to play.
Oh, yeah, easy. He's 6'3", and like you were saying, their back line was all above 6 foot, so he might have been able to cause him a bit of headache, or he might have just had a better chance to go for those headers, given somebody that Fabianski could have tried to pinpoint on the goal kicks.
Yeah,
because I'm sure if anybody or people noticed, like Fabianski was legitimately taking his time, not to waste it, but just to pick out a good pass because he needed to find somebody to get it to.
Yeah, I don't think he was trying to purposefully time waste. To the Brighton supporters, I can understand where they were calling for time waste and whatever, but I think it was just he didn't want to just give possession away straight away. To be honest, I feel like he was just waiting for somebody to make a little bit of movement and open up some space. Who would you say was your man of the match today? Not Brighton or anything. I mean, from a West Ham's point of view.
West Ham. I'd honestly probably say Declan or Fabianski. It'd be one of those for me. Fabianski in the first and second half he had a couple of spectacular saves, probably kept us in it. And Declan Rice, even after Antonio came on, was really, you know, he was the one that was getting in, you know, for the full 90 minutes. I know Antonio might have a couple arguments for man of the match, rightfully so, but for a full 90 minutes, I'd probably have to give it to Declan or Fabianski. How about you?
For me, I'd give it to Lanzini. I thought he was very good today. And that run that he did towards the end of the game, it was like 55 yards or something like that.
Yeah, dribbling through 3 defenders.
Yeah, there was like three or four people around him at the end of the game. So in here we have Gabe again says Fabianski saved us. Jill said that, or sorry, Gil. Sorry if I've butchered your name there. It's one of the two, I'm sure. It says Fabianski and his golden gloves, man of the match. What do you guys in the chat think? Who was your man of the match? Let this scroll up. And quickly, while we're in the chat real quick, we'll just say hi to Stebbins is in here. Jim Stebbins, Mark Noon, Gabe's in here. Tim, what's up, Tim? Sorry that we were a couple of minutes late. My microphone and my headset wouldn't be picked up by Streamlabs. It was really frustrating. So yeah, sorry about that.
Was there anybody in particular that you would probably have, I guess, whatever the anti-man of the match would be? So maybe your deplorable of the match, if you will.
So like, who was like the worst player?
Yeah, for us, yeah. If you can pick one.
Masuaku for me. And then Sanchez came on.
Well, funny enough, I mean, Sanchez came on, and obviously it wasn't the most appealing substitution, but he didn't really have a chance to do anything bad or good, to be honest. I mean, there was just a couple of times where I think he looked slow. I don't know if that's just because he was just slow in general or just because he came in the game late. But there were a couple of times where you could see he was clearly chasing the ball. But I would have to agree. I think Masuaku, as excited as I was to see him start, he did absolutely nothing that made me say, oh, he should start over Cresswell today, or even Ben Johnson for that matter. He out of position. I think there was a couple of times where their wingers or their wide attackers just had so much room. He had some terrible passes today too. But yeah, he probably, there was a couple that you could choose from, but he was probably the worst one today.
Yeah. Speaking of passing, we talked about this last week, and we were going to talk about it before we run into all the troubles that we had. The passing for me has been atrocious, especially it was a little bit better today, but in the Man City game in particular, it was awful. Just passing decisions, just passing in general. I'm not really sure what the problem is right now. I don't know if we're playing like a nervous team or I don't know what it is. But and another thing, and probably the big thing for me, are the fitness levels. We seem really. I don't know if it's we're playing conserved and trying to hit teams on the break, or we're just not closing them down quick enough. Like for me, the best way to break up any type of counter attack or time on the ball is to just you don't even have to tackle them. You just have to put pressure on them to make them think twice about what they're already thinking about. Like, I'm going to pass here. Well, I can't pass there because this lane is now cut off, type of thing. I didn't see much of that, especially in the first half today. What do you think? Yeah,
no, I agree. I think last week in specific, the passing into the final attacking third was probably the worst part of it all. I think that was better today, especially in the second half. We didn't really have much of a chance to do it in the first. But I agree. I mean, there was a lot of times where the passes were either really light-weighted, where a clear pass became a 50-50 ball. And that was in any direction, forward, backward, left, right, whatever the case may be. But yeah, there was a couple times you hold your breath, like, wow, I don't know what was going on. But yeah, I don't know how professional footballers can't get a simple pass down when it's the first thing you learn to do in the game. Yeah, I guess against Man City, sure, I can see it. Like you said, it's nerves, adrenaline. You're at home, season opener, whatever. But against Brighton, and not to take anything away from Brighton, because they've got 4 points out of 2 games so far. So they were very, very good today. They got their they got their tactics spot on. They pressed us and closed us down when they needed to. They were. I mean, I would say they were good in the air, but they didn't really have anybody to challenge them because all of our front 4 players they're under 5 feet tall. So yeah. I think another frustrating thing too, to go along with passing, was our set pieces today weren't really anything to desire. Absolutely not. And I don't know if it's necessarily the service that they received, or maybe it was just the height, but there wasn't really a time, especially the last free kick that we had, where we tried to just pass it into the box. Stop. Yeah, you pass it, you stop it, and then he passed it like sideways to the edge of the box, and nobody was there. No one was there. Absolutely nobody. I personally hate those types of free kicks or corners or anything. I hate short corners. Just get the ball in the box, man. Like put it in there. Make it happen.
Yeah, put it in there with some pace, like a bit of curve on it or something. Like anything can
Yeah.
happen. Those short free kicks, I feel like they're pointless.
Yeah. It's
Absolutely
like training our
pointless.
stuff. We just do that just to see what could happen. But I mean, at the end of the day, like you said, just get in the box. It could go off our head, their head, somebody's shoulder, whoever, whatever the case may be. But
Yeah,
you never know unless you don't try it.
exactly. So, so yeah. So the good news is with that point, we are now off the bottom of the table.
Nice.
We still have -5 goal difference, though, obviously. So we're sitting in 15th in the league. Poor Watford is sitting bottom of the league,
Oh
and
no.
Chelsea. And that's really nice to see Chelsea down there, if I'm honest.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we got more points than Barcelona does. So,
Exactly.
funny
So,
enough.
heading into next week's match, we play Watford is away, I believe, right?
Yeah, second
Watford.
straight road game.
All right, Watford away. So they are on. They've lost 2 games out of 2. What do you do, providing let's just assume that Haller and Anderson are going to be fit for that game? Do you
hmm
stick to the current formation that we have? Do you make the changes back to the first game of the season? What do you take out of today's game for next week's game?
Um, I think the formation definitely should change. I would like to see him play around and start 2 strikers.
Mm-hmm.
Have Declan by himself. Not to take anything away from. Obviously, Noble's hurt. I'm sure he'll be fit for next game or close to it, but I don't think he starts. And Wilshere hasn't really given anything to make me want him to start. So I think you give Declan kind of that space on his own. And then you have Anderson, Lanzini, and either Fornals or Antonio. But if I'm choosing, I would say Fornals, Lanzini, Anderson, and then honestly, and it might be kind of a shock, it probably won't work, but Haller and Antonio up front by themselves, or obviously together. I think that would be pretty incredible to see Haller and Antonio, especially against a Watford team that seems to be leaking goals right now as much as we are.
Yeah,
Because I think they would uh, complement each other well. I think Haller with his size and Antonio with his size can bully a back line. You can't really um, pinpoint which one to put 3 guys on. Can service pretty well, and I think they're both pretty decent, in the air, especially Antonio. And I think that would cause them a lot of panic and fits, or whatever. You could even start Chicharito instead of Antonio, but I think Antonio showed why he deserves to either be in the starting lineup if Haller is out, or just be up there with him.
yeah, I agree. I would like to see us go with 2 strikers as well, but I think he will. I think Pellegrini will stick to the 4-2-3-1.
Yeah,
I think the people that will come out of today's lineup will be Snodgrass. But then again, maybe not. Maybe Fornells will come out because he didn't really offer a whole lot today. Obviously, being first start for the club in the Premier League, just trying to find his feet or whatever. I think he might be sacrificed a little bit. Haller will obviously go straight back up front.
yeah,
Because, like we said before, Hernandez is not that type of person. You can't play him by himself. But
no,
when he did receive the ball, he did try to make things happen, and it was nice to see him get a
yeah.
goal today. That can only be good for his confidence.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So there's a question down here in the chat. It's from Gil, who who made it known that it's Gil like fish Gil. So from now on, it will be Gil. The
It's like
question
Gif
was,
and Gif.
the question was, do you guys think VAR will be axed this season in the Premier League? If you'd like to go first.
Um, I don't think so. I think so far for us, and I know we probably had it affect us more than any other team. Every decision has been correct so far,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think you can fault a system that we wanted to be correct. You can't be mad at it for being correct, So you can't VAR this and that. If it's getting the right call done, you have to live with what you ask for, in my opinion.
I couldn't agree with you more. I'm in the exact same boat. I don't think it will be axed. this season whatsoever. I think maybe at the end of the season it will be reviewed. I think VAR will be more reviewed or put into question when the game gets to the later stages of the season, where it determines who possibly could get relegated and who possibly could challenge for the title and European spots and stuff like that. I feel like that's when VAR will be more criticised. But so far, the decisions have been absolutely correct. Like the offside last week, even though it was an armpit hair, whatever it was. This week it was more clear. He was a good foot or two offside. Yeah. So yeah, eventually, even though they have benefited us so far, but there will be occasions where it benefits us, like a foul in the box or somebody grappling in the box. Like eventually it will start getting to that stage, but at the same time, it's also going to affect us negatively. Like it will penalize us for the exact same things that we just spoke about. So you can't really complain about a system that, like you said, that we've all been asking for, because it has been needed. I just hope it doesn't take too much time out of the game. And the celebrations, like when you score and you celebrate, and then you have to wait to see if your celebration, like that Trossard, is that how you say his name?
Trossard, something like that.
So so his goal was very well taken. That volley was very well taken, and he celebrated because it was his first goal in the Premier League, first goal for his new club, and then it was ruled out offside. Imagine what that does to you. You're like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Just to put it bluntly.
Yeah, no, I think it could affect you one of two ways. Like, oh man, I didn't score or whatever, or maybe it could be one of those things where, well, I know I can score now, so now I just got to do it again, kind of thing. So, I don't know if it'll take too much confidence out. Maybe if it was to happen to him twice, like how it did for Sterling, or I don't know. I know Sterling for sure once last week. I don't know if it was for him twice. But maybe if it was more than once, maybe that'll start to get in your confidence. But with the way that Brighton were playing and the amount of chances that he in particular had, I don't think it really, because he ended up being the goal scorer for them anyways. So I don't think it really affected him too much.
No, I agree. So that basically wraps it up for this week. Do you have anything else to say on the game, or your thoughts, any final thoughts or anything like that?
No, just, take away the learning points. We have another road game next week. Hopefully go into it with some confidence, especially what we did on the road against them last week. It won't be easy because, you're down 2 games and you have your home game and insert West Ham, kind of the West Ham way is you get your first win against us. So we'll see. I think it'll be a much better performance. Yeah, it'll be nice to have Heller and Anderson back. But we just got to play like we want to be there. Today just didn't feel like it all throughout for whatever reason. So I think, just learn from here and just get better.
Yeah, I think there are definitely some positives to take out of today's game. We didn't play particularly well, but we managed to come away with a point. And in my book, that's fine with me. If you play terrible and you can still pick up points,
especially on the road,
especially away from home. What I would like to see. Because if you remember last year, Pellegrini, he chop and changed the team, especially in the first sort of 4, 5, 6 games. He changed the team around a lot before he could find out his best starters or whatever. I hope he doesn't do that this year. We started off with a back 4 this season, and then we changed it for the second game. I think he changed 2 people. He changed Balbuena and Masuaku. I hope he doesn't continuously do that for the opening few games. And the only other thing that I want to see is just a little bit more energy. Like we seemed like to just watch the game unfold in front of us instead of like trying to press or anything. Like I just need to see a little bit more energy, and I'd be very satisfied. And hopefully we can come away with a win. I feel like we have enough in our locker to come away with the victory. For a fact that Troy Deeney is going to score though. If he plays, that he's going to play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you almost caught it today with Maupay. I mean, you said he was going to come on and score, and he had like 3 or 4 chances. But yeah, I mean, Deeney just one of those people. You just accept the fact that he's probably going to get one in, whether he starts or gets subbed in. And he knows that too. I'm sure he circles the West Ham games like, oh, there's a goal scoring opportunity for me waiting.
Bust out the champagne and red panties for that.
Right. But, I mean, shit, look at Sterling. Sterling's a perfect example, and he got 3 against us.
Exactly.
Speaking of, Man City just scored.
Did they?
Yeah.
I have it on in the living room. I haven't got to watch it yet. Who scored?
I think it was De Bruyne. I can't tell just yet. They were all celebrating. Oh, no, it was Sterling again off a brilliant service in from outside the box from De Bruyne, and he headed it in across goal. And yeah, it was really nice.
Well, they're going to do that to the majority of teams in this league, to be honest. So, Gil said, I agree, fellas. VAR come under scrutiny closer to the spring of next year. Cheers from San Antonio, Alamo City Hammers, and a shout out to all the homies at the West Ham Way event in Las Vegas. Absolutely. Do you know what? I saw Scott Davis is out there. Nick Stamper is also out there. And I was seeing on Twitter yesterday, they found a Rangers fan in one of the lobbies who I'm assuming was playing on the slots, and they were singing songs about Jermaine Defoe. I'm absolutely gutted that I'm not there for that today. Even though the performance wasn't great, I bet you they had like the best time just getting shit-faced, just watching it.
Oh, at 7 a.m.
Yeah, 7 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah, I saw a gentleman, he was British, he was here for the event, and he was saying he has the utmost respect for Americans to get up at kickoff times at 6, 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. But yeah, that would have been a lot of fun.
One thing I thought about when I moved, when we eventually moved to the States, is it's kind of beneficial and unbeneficial at the same time to watch the game so early in the morning, because if you win, it's great because you could be happy for the rest of your day. But if you get battered and you don't play well at all, you literally have the whole day to be pissed off about it.
Yeah,
you have to either go to work like completely pissed off, don't want to talk to anybody. But anyway,
no one else gets it.
Yeah. So let's wrap this video up quickly. I did forget, however, to mention this. Visit drinkwaredesign.com for all your personalized mug needs. And I think we still have some scarves for sale. I think there's maybe 10 or less available for people to buy. So make sure you head over. I think we have a thing for that.
Yeah, last I saw, Tim put it up and said there was a handful, and I know I had purchased one, another gentleman purchased one. So at least from a couple of days ago, there was at least 8 left.
Yeah. So all right. So there's maybe 8. Excuse me. Damn, it's a cup of tea. There's probably 8 or less available. So make sure you go out to. I think there'll be a link in the description of this video because I can't find the banner in here. Go pick up yourself a scarf. And make sure you tune in. We are not a top 6 team with a performance like that. I agree, Maria. We definitely are not. I don't even think we're a bottom 6 team with a performance like that. To be honest.
All right, it's the championship side right there.
Yeah. But anybody, thank you all for joining. These videos are not going to be as long as our interviews that we do because they're just chit-chatting about the game, giving you our thoughts and feedback and stuff like that. So make sure you tune in next week. It'll be about maybe 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes after the game. You're available for the next week, right?
Yes. Yeah, right. No plans for me next week.
All right. Well, you do have plans. You're going to be on here with me.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So everybody, thank you for joining. You all enjoy the rest of your day. And come on your irons.
Come on your irons.